Are you satisfied with your understanding of sustainability? If not, like me, imagine a journey together, a pluralistic one, with innovators, startup, academia, NGO, all together looking for solution to the greatest challenge of our time. I'm Samuele Tini, and this is the Sustainability Journey.
Welcome to another episode, and today we are going to discuss with a person that is creating a world with purpose. What it is? We are going to ask the CEO and founder of Ghaya, Roberta Calarese. Thank you so much, Roberta, for being here today.
Thank you, Samuele. It's been a pleasure and an honor meeting you and actually being here talking about this incredible mission of building a world with purpose.
I'm eager to know more, to understand what is about. But our usual question, who is Roberta? What is your sustainability journey?
I've been in the corporate world for almost 30 years. I am an investment banking lawyer by background, started my career with Goldman Sachs, London and New York, came to the UAE early 2000. I spent 12 years building the Dubai International Financial Center and developing capital markets in the region. And 2 years ago, actually maybe just in COVID, as COVID happened, I decided to leave the corporate world to do something in service of humanity. And this really, I think, came as a very important decision after a long journey of introspection that started in 2018. And that's really where I decided to impact people and planet with my experience, my ability to inspire people and to drive change.
Fantastic, Roberta. It's really a common trend that we have already seen with many people in our podcast, from corporate world, leading institution, going really to serve humanity and create a world with purpose. But you mentioned Dubai, and we all know that Dubai is supposed to host COP28 soon, and is undergoing a shift from the traditional fossil fuel oil economy towards becoming a sustainability leader. How do you see the potential for the region to emerge as a front runner in sustainability?
So listen, first of all, the UAE, as we all know, has the world's 7th largest proven oil reserve and the 7th largest natural gas reserves. However, it has really been taking aggressive action to diversify the UAE energy mix and economy since 2006. In 2006, we had the establishment of Masdar City, which is really a bespoke city created, first of all, to be sustainable, but also to look at how to create clean energy. So I think we were pioneers again in this region on energy renewables. And we also host the world's largest solar farm called the S.1, and we also are home to one of the largest offshore wind farms called London Arrays. So these are really things that were created, many years ago, showing really, the pioneering capacity of the United Arab Emirates. We were also the first Middle Eastern country to join the Paris Agreement in December 2015. And very recently, we have just launched the UAE Net Zero by 2050 strategic initiative, which is deeply aligned with the goals of the Paris Agreement, and as well with the UAE development vision to create new knowledge along with green industry skills and jobs. So I think it's also very important to mention that in 2023, just this year, the UAE updated its national energy strategy, and it has included several goals, which I think are worthy of mention. The first one is to create 50,000 new green jobs by 2030. The second one is to have triple renewable energy capacity to be increased to 14 gigawatt by 2030, to raise the percentage of clean energy in the total energy mix by 30% by 2031, and also, of course, as the name of the strategy says, to become carbon neutral by 2050. So I think these are deeply aggressive goals that we have set for ourselves, again, a testament to the visionary leadership that we have in the United Arab Emirates. And also, very recently, our president has just announced that now our top priority in the UAE is going to be water and no longer oil. So that, again, in the creation of a sustainable world, I think it's a very important and meaningful goal.
And it's really, you can see that the Gulf region is transforming. Many countries are aligning and working towards becoming sustainability leaders, which it's really needs. And what you have discussed now with the strategy, that is also, you have seen the Saudi strategy, UAE strategy, they're all aligned to really shift the economies towards the future. And that's why Ghaya is there. And you have founded and you are working in the UAE, and as I say, UAE to the world. But what is Ghaya? Can you explain to us what is your work? What are you doing there? And what are your objectives with your enterprise?
So listen, Ghaya is a purpose to impact strategy consulting firm. We really work on two fundamental pillars. So we're a very niche consulting firm, and we focus, number one, on the inner journey of leaders. And this stems from my belief that you can never solve the problems of the world because they're only a manifestation of people's inner worlds. And if I perceive that to be a fundamental truth, if I am really to drive change, I must go and work on root causes. And the second one is transforming organizations to become purpose-led and to drive impact into the world beyond profitability. And I think that in this part of the world, at least in the UAE, we have been blessed with great privilege, but with great privilege always comes great responsibility. And I think that the private sector has been lagging behind a little bit. So our public sector leaders are deeply visionary, deeply purposeful leaders. You know, they never rest on any kind of victory or achievement or goal. They're always on to, the next challenge and the next opportunity. So on that front, we have been blessed with truly, truly incredible purposeful leadership. But the private sector really has not, I think, provided the level of impact required that we need to actually support the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. And I use the SDGs because they're just beautifully crafted 17 goals that really outline some of the greatest problems and challenges that we have in the world. And so we really work on actually transforming organizations to become purpose-led by embedding purpose into the strategy and governance of organizations. We then look at the daily actions and business as usual of businesses. We then measure the impact that purpose brings on profitability and long-term value creation. And that's really our formula and what we want to be impacting.
We will discuss the inner leaves and the work that you are doing, forming and then the leaders of the future. On the other side, you are also creating a platform where you want to connect the businesses, as you discussed. The businesses maybe lagged a bit behind, and then you want to catch up, and that is where your support with the event that you are organizing. And we want to know a bit more, World with Purpose. So it's a fast event where you put leaders, entities from around the world to discuss, and you really like to say to create meaningful impact. What does it mean? What are you trying to aim in creating this platform and this gathering?
So the question I had to ask myself after I set up Ghaya was, what do we need to do in the Middle East and Africa, right? And I think that we need to start a conversation. The level of awareness here needs to be raised, and we just are not as advanced as some of the discussions that have been taking place in other parts of the world. We have the Business Roundtable in the United States. Of course, we have the United Nations and the World Economic Forum agenda, the World Bank. We have, the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. We have the B Corporation movements. So there is a number of movements that have been happening in other parts of the world, but I think it's time for us to look at what is happening here. So I said, okay, let's start a series of summits called World with Purpose, which actually will be born in the UAE. The UAE is my home. I've been here for 24 years now, so actually it's a really long time. I am Emirati by marriage, and deeply proud to be part of this part of the world and this country. And so I said, let's start this conversation in the UAE. We have always been a beacon of inspiration and a role model to actually neighboring countries as well in driving innovation and transformation. And then we will actually export World with Purpose to other countries as well. Said we already have an invitation to take it for Africa, and we will be announcing at the summit on the 7th and 8th of November, the country that will be hosting World with Purpose for 2020. And listen, World with Purpose is a conversation. That's all that we're doing. It's a holistic conversation that touches on 5 themes. It's world economy, it's the inner journey of leaders, it's enterprise transformation, it is incredible stories of people who came from a place of purpose and drove impact into the world. And finally, of course, impact financing, because ultimately somebody has to pay the bill at the end of the day. But what we're really trying to do is to inspire actually the business leaders at the table to start to want to create greater impact through the businesses that they run, and really creating some shifts in the mindsets of the leaders that are necessary if we're really to create a world with purpose.
And I've seen the guests that you have there. You have from business leader, people that have been at the forefront of sustainability or forefront of banking and impact investing, to spiritual leaders. So I want to ask you how these two areas they can come together.
Change always starts with the self. And so if we don't really go and target the actual person, it doesn't matter what kind of solutions we bring to the market, then all we're ever talking about is just market solutions. But if we're really to create a different world, I think we need to change people's inner worlds. And that's why I think it's so meaningful and important that we actually touch upon the inner journey of leaders. And in business, it's always the elephant in the room, because the business doesn't like to talk about this kind of things. But I'll just give you a very funny story. I did a course at MIT with Professor Otto Scharmer. It's called Leading from the Emerging Future. And he recounts in one of his lectures his encounter with Master Nan Huai Chin in Hong Kong in 1996. And Master Nan Huai Chin was one of the most eminent Asian philosophers who brought together the Zen religion, Confucianism, and Buddhism. And Professor Otto Sharma asked Master Nan Huai Chin, he said, what do you think is at the cause of all the problems in the world today, the wars that we have, the conflicts, the discrimination, poverty, lack of access to, education, just lack of simple dignity? He said only one thing. He said, the disintegration of mind and matter, and mind really intended in the sense of consciousness, and matter being the physical world. So it's really that inner side that I think needs to be connected to the outer world, reconnected at least, because we were born connected. Somehow we got disconnected somewhere along the way. And that's why really in the summit, we do focus as well on these aspects, but it's woven in such a way that I think is understandable by the business leaders that we have at the summit, because I think practicality and things that resonate with them are very important for the success of World with Purpose.
And it's really important to have this blend and really to this reconnection. We have discussed even in other episodes, and this is the time that we said in those episodes, time for humanity and the work that needs to be done to put together and really solve the problems. And really, I want to ask, since you're discussing about the business and the practicality, sometimes leaders are the ones that they can make things happen. And you are consulting and creating supporting this transition with leaders. And in your perspective, which is the leadership style that can be aligned best with the purpose-driven companies?
First of all, I just wanted to make, you said you use a very interesting phrase, which is time for humanity. But I think it's not just time for humanity, it's time for also the planet as well, because obviously, humanity, if we look at the lifespan of the earth, which is 145 million years, versus humanity who has been about 140,000 years, if we actually condense the lifespan of the earth into one day, that's 24 hours. We have humanity has been here for 3 seconds, right? Just 3 seconds. And so I think it's very important to put that into context, that actually planet Earth is our home. We are an integral part of planet Earth. And so it's time actually for people and planet. This is what I would like to say. In terms of leadership style, I think, is leadership with purpose. When we find our purpose, we actually become bigger than ourselves. And I think our greatest challenge has always been that we see ourselves as very limited, whether it is just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our family. Some people extend it to friends. Some people maybe go a little bit further to community. But many people look at actually impacting people and planet are being this huge task, this, mountain that is unsurmountable or unclimbable. But when you actually reach there, for me, this is now just the speck of dust that I see. So it's like so small now the universe has become for me, people and planet, because I found my own purpose, right? And so inspiring leaders to find their purpose, first of all, personally, and then also helping organizations define their purpose and connecting the two. That's when the magic really happens. And I think the Japanese say it better. They call it ikigai. Ikigai in Japanese means purpose, which is really an intersection of what you love doing, of what is your passion, what is your vocation, what is your profession. And when you bring this together to find that perfect spot, which is purpose, you can actually really move mountains. And so I think this is really, for me, the starting point. And maybe another really interesting point, sometimes I've had discussions with very senior CEOs of large businesses here, and one of them specifically said, it's very strange when we actually set our strategy, when we set our business plans, we never really talk about values or vision or mission. We all know those statements, but we actually don't bring them into the discussion. And I think that they stand alone if you don't actually join them together with purpose, because purpose really defines the corridor or operations. It kind of narrows the possibilities, but it makes it infinitely long. It kind of puts businesses in the infinite game of business, which is really becoming your own competition and really supporting everybody in your stakeholder ecosystem to deliver impact for people and planet. So definitely leadership with purpose.
I totally agree with your explanation. It's what we need. And I really like that part, because sometimes we are hands-on and task-oriented, and we forget about the mission, the values, and the why we are doing things, and how we can also, in our action, impact the different stakeholders. So you have mentioned a bit, already given us a glimpse into the future, saying that you are going to the continent of the future, the continent that will be growing 200 million people in the next less than 10 years. Can you share us some more? Where do you want to take World with Purpose, and which are the other projects that are in the pipeline, as we say?
So World with Purpose is a conversation that will continue in time, right? Like we said, so it's really continuing to discuss about the importance of business to contribute to people and planet beyond profitability. There really needs to be a balancing out of economic growth with social and environmental progress. I think this is really very, very important. So World with Purpose will continue on this trajectory, really also supporting the UAE commitment to the UN SDGs. This is a very important commitment of our federal government. And the other thing that we would like to do is amplify the voices of our purposeful leaders in the UAE. So we are really actually humbled to continue or amplify the legacy of our own leaders. We also, maybe one thing to mention very importantly is who is going to come at World with Purpose. So you actually asked me the question, but we didn't address it. So it's actually a very small summit, our inaugural summit. It's only 300 leaders. We have public sector, private sector, but we also have invited youth leaders to be part of the equation, because I believe that we need to co-create the future together with the youth. And I think it's not that the old guard will walk out and the new guard will walk in. I think there will be a time when we will be collaborating together. And I think there is a lot of value in wisdom, knowledge, and experience, but there is a lot of value in enthusiasm and courage and an understanding of technology, which is way beyond, I think, our generations. So I think working together and starting to create those partnerships for change with the youth will also help them to navigate much better the level of disruption that they will face, the level of challenges and change that is awaiting a generation. And it is going to be much more, I think, complex than during our times. And for Ghaya, we said that, our mission is really to enable global prosperity, one purpose-led business at a time. Really, the journey is very long, because really there is very few purpose-led businesses. So, this is going to be our focus for the next 5 years. I truly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be a great shift in the world, that really sustainability will become what corporate governance was 20 years ago. Nobody knew about it. And now it's kind of standard practice. I think that sustainability will be the way of life.
Fantastic, Roberta, and really looking forward to see the next year and also the journey of Ghaya and your summit, World with Purpose, moving around the world and really supporting the transformational journey. And talking about transformational journey, many people listen to the podcast. We have business leaders, we have people still studying, people in academia, and also normal laymen like me and others. And one of the objectives of this podcast is really to also to connect changemakers like you around the world to the people and spread their voice and their messages. So can you give us some practical advice and tips for companies, individuals? We want to inspire to a more sustainable and purpose-driven way of life, an operational model, of course, for companies.
So listen, for me, the starting point is purpose, is defining your purpose. And I know that we've said it before, but it's really the beginning of the journey, because when you define your purpose, you really define the reason why a company came into existence. Is the raison d'etre, why do you exist and what problem are you here to solve? And I think it's very important that when we look at creating ecosystems, we spend a lot of time when we assist companies to define their purpose to also define the ecosystem of stakeholders, because that's where you really add value. It's never just about the story of a company or their goals. It's always about how do you fit into somebody else's deliverables, because then you're enabling them to actually deliver what they need to deliver. And if you look at it in a stakeholder ecosystem, you actually multiply the impact that you're able to create. And of course, the exercise that is very important is defining your pain points, because there is always pain points, and really spending some energy, time, effort, and investment in actually resolving those pain points, because in the long term, actually, it really creates greater value. It eases the way that the business is being done. And I think it also brings incredible innovation and transformation, as opposed to just thinking, I want to kill the competition and be number one. So playing in a very finite game of business versus an infinite game of business, which is really staying in it for as long as possible.
Fantastic, Roberta. Thank you so much. I think it would be a good food for thought for the people listening to us. And I'm really looking forward also to see how your work with Ghaya and the work with purpose is going to be something that brings transformation and bringing together leader, youth group, and the future leaders together for a purpose of work. So I want to thank you so much for being here with us in the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. And we look forward to actually having you at World with Purpose at the inaugural edition in Dubai. So I'll be very soon. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you.
Are you satisfied after this wonderful episode? Let's continue together our sustainability journey.